Grand Rising, I'm Ron Usha, and welcome to show number 17 on Conversations on Art, a show where friends get together to talk about their art, their creativity, and hopefully we can learn from each other and maybe even inspire each other. I have, as usual, my co-host, Annie, textile artist, painter, fashionista, energy worker. Grand Rising, Annie.
Grand Rising, Ron. Grand Rising, thank you for inviting me again. Thank you.
And today, for the second time, it's a part two of our conversation with musician Angela. Grand Rising, Angela.
Run Racing, Run. Thank you very much for inviting me one more time. I'm so happy also.
So on the first show, we spoke about Angela's work with the silent movies and combining her music with that. So today we're going to go into different topics. So Angela has been living in Bali for the last few years. So Angela, what has been the impact of the music in Bali on your music and on your singing?
Well, actually, there has been so many impacts in my life in general. And at the first time, I moved to Java. I was living in Java for like around 5 or 6 years because I got a scholarship and I was studying the traditional music. And only in the last few years, I was living in Bali, where I met you. And well, arts in general in Bali, of course, the way of thinking, the way of living is totally different thing compared to here, Europe and Spain. And when there are many things that can influence us as both as persons and as artists, and because of course arts, they have the aesthetics, and also there is the philosophy, and there is the way of approaching arts, the way that one society make art. So there are so many perspectives, so many points of view and elements that we can take from those cultures. In the case of Indonesia in general, well, you know that they have one. There are many, of course, many local musics, but they have this gamelan thing, and the gamelan is it's a group of instruments that always play together, and actually they really play together as if they were just one instrument. No, it's a different concept of orchestra. It's not like Western orchestras where we have violins and we have trumpets or clarinets, and everybody, they just know their parts, and then they just they bring their instrument, and then they play all together, but they just play what is written in their score, right? So somehow it's a kind of collaboration as well. We are playing all together, but it's a different concept, because first thing, you as a violin player, you don't need to know what the flute player is doing at any moment. You don't need to, because you have your score and you memorize your part. In the case of the gamelan in Indonesia, and also related to the way they live as a community, you know, the system of these societies where they live from the agriculture, and especially the rice fields, and they need to share the water, everything. It makes those communities, those societies are real communities, in the sense that everyone makes their own, they give their own support, the small things that make sense within the community. And this is exactly what happens in music, in gamelan music in Indonesia. It's like everyone is doing small part of the whole, but also they know, everybody knows the rest of the parts. Actually, they could switch from one instrument to another. So this is for me was like very shocking at the first time, like to see that, okay, you, it's not that you just care about yourself and your part and you practice. No, you need to listen to the others, because in any moment someone is gonna tell you, could you please play my part? I will move to yours because I want to play that part now. And then in the end you learn to do these small tasks for every instrument, and you know what's going on every moment, and then you can have the picture of the whole thing. So so regarding the process of making music and process of uh, having of interacting with your community, this is something really really different, and that has a very positive impact in my case, no? And then we can come into the aesthetics of the music, no? Because besides that kind of things, gamelan music, either in Bali or in Java, or they have their own system, they have their own sounds that come from the instruments, but also the way they tune the instruments with kind of tuning that for us, if you are not used to yet, it's like, oh, this is totally out of tune. But we already know that in music, tuning is something cultural. It's not that, oh, this is out of tune, this is tune. No, no, it's something that you get used to, and the frequencies of the sounds, you get used to those frequencies, and then this is what it makes it for you usual, or something weird. Or and gamelan has this thing related to the tuning system, which is very weird. And you, as a classical musician, when you approach gamelan for the first time, then you, of course, you want to use your Western tools and your Western knowledge, and you come into the class. Well, at that time, I was studying in the university in Java, so I got the like formal education, besides sharing with community in the village everywhere. But I got the formal education. So it was really frustrating sometimes. Like, I'm trying to get to know which note is this one. Is this a G, or is A, or is D? And no way, because you know what? That day, okay, I was sure that it was A, B, C sharp, and then the next day you come, and then you hear it again, and then you say, oh no, I was wrong. Today it doesn't sound like a C sharp. Today is a C. Because you know, besides the our perception, which is very feeble sometimes, there is some things that happen in the tuning related to the tuning of the rest of the instruments and the rest of the notes that the other instruments are playing. So one note, if it sounds like in between C and C sharp, it can be both, depending on the rest of the notes played by other musicians. So it really depends on what's going on around, and then you get crazy. But then you see how many other possibilities there are in music, in arts, in cultures. It's different points of view. It's not just like, oh, this is C and it's C, no? And C only can be C. No. And well, continuing with this kind of aesthetic elements of the music, for example, and besides this confusing tuning, they use very amazing scales. For example, it's like you know, no, everybody know about the pentatonic scale, the one we call the Chinese scale, like. No, in piano is very easy, because the pentatonic is just the black keys of the piano. So if you want to make a Chinese like song, you can just okay. So automatically it sounds like Chinese. And but the Indonesian, they have more scales. more tuning systems, and then they are really unique. And this is if you ask me, okay, but please go straight to the point and tell me exactly which elements of the gamelan music of Indonesia you use in your music. I would say actually that this is one of the things, and it's not this pentatonic scale, but the other scales that they use. One of them is they call madenda, and it's like this. Which is actually like the Japanese scale. And there is another one, which is the pelog. So they have mostly like 3 scales. The pelog is very similar. So when I do my own music, sometimes for the films or either for whatever, I like to bring those scales into my playing. And another thing related to this collaboration between persons and musicians in the society in music is this interlocking parts. So it's very, especially in Bali, it's very easy to see it. You can really see it, and they share the notes of the scales. Let's say, for example, this scale. Okay, so one of the persons is doing something like. So they take like one basic pattern, repeating just 2 notes, maybe, just this. And then another person is using, let's say, these notes. Doing a very simple task, but a different pattern. So when you put both together, then it gets more, it goes one step further and more meaning, no? It's just one. Okay, nice. But it's both. And I like this idea very much because it's something that you can use in music, but it's also a reflection of how as a community can interact, and how well the small thing that I do but combined with your thing can be something really amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, like what you said there. I mean, so sometimes when we're creating something, we have a fixed idea of what something is. But I guess what can be amazing is when our own ideas are shattered.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're able to go into directions where we didn't even know that there were directions.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Yeah, and sometimes it's you need that interaction with someone else to change your and because I guess if someone is changing their pattern, yeah, automatically it makes you also change yours to try to adapt as well.
I know a lot of artists do a lot of, of their work on their own, maybe in their room, creating, painting, drawing, writing music.
Yeah.
So how important is it to go out sometimes and collaborate with other people? And how important is it also to have that time on your own?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So yes, actually both are important, but if you just continue with your own thing all the time, always everything is going to be right. Is like you said, no? And we need sometimes something from outside to make our structures like, and then probably it's going to be broken, and then we are going to buy a new one. Build a new one, and hopefully a better one, because now I have your input as a writer or as a painter, and those new ideas is what make me also grow. And yeah.
Do you get ideas from music, from art, or any other kind of art forms?
Sometimes, yeah. Actually, yes, because I mean, I was gonna reply no at the beginning, yeah, because I was thinking like, yeah, when I sit on the piano, I'm just seeing my keys and my strings, but no, because even I'm not really collaborating in this moment by watching someone doing something else, but in my mind there is always, even just myself, because I also dance. Well, I just do dance and I sing. I don't paint or anything else or write, but yes, of course there is an influence, and sometimes I remember choreographies or movements, and either you want to just imitate, try to imitate the movements with the sound, or you just want just to accompany those images you have. uh, there is always this debate in music, no, since many centuries ago. It's like, does music have the right to be autonomous, like just for itself, or does music always need something else to have a meaning? Because we know that there is no an explicit meaning in music. You cannot say that this melody means anything. You couldn't say even it means happiness or any feeling, because it depends on you and me and our culture. So there is always this question, does music mean something? So the only way that it could mean really something explicit, something specific, is if it is combined with words or with images, no? And so from many centuries, it's like always debating that kind of things. And actually it doesn't matter, no, it depends on you, and if for you means something, that's enough, no? And of course it's going to be something totally different for another person, but yeah, that's the good thing, actually, no, this the possibility of thousand and infinite meanings, no?
Yeah, because after speaking to you last time, I wrote a passage in the story I'm writing, and I thought about the sounds that you were making on the piano strings.
Uh-huh.
And I used that to infuse what I was writing.
Okay.
So just by hearing those sounds gave me a different idea about what I was writing.
Okay.
So I find this this how a lot of times people from different art forms can come together and they can feed each other and inspire each other.
Uh-huh. Yeah, fantastic. So what is it about, but if I may ask you? I'm curious now. Yes.
Yeah, so it's just, I've got a character, she's a young child and she views the world in a unique way. And after I was speaking to you, I spoke to Annie. I said, Annie, do you think we can, do something with this, with the sounds and, and where we're going with the arts? So we had a conversation about it. But it's just that after hearing you, I got some new ideas.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's the amazing thing, that we went off in a direction that we wouldn't have gone in if we hadn't spoken to you on that particular day.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So I feel glad to know that. Great. Actually, I think it's more possible this direction, like what happened to you. Like you listen to music, and then music makes your ideas related to words or dance or painting appear. No, it's like you can get ideas from music, even, or maybe because of music doesn't have a specific meaning. Maybe the opposite way is more complicated. It's like, okay, please try to write a score for this poem. It's complicated to translate into music those words, no? And of course, I can get inspired, or I can, more than inspire, I can try to adapt to the mood that you want to communicate, or the idea. But this is because the language we use in music is not something explicit with a meaning. That's all. But yeah, so it also happened to me. Like, I mean, I want to create, I want to dance or something. Of course, if you are listening to music, then movements come, and then you just have other, depending on the music, you can have other ideas. That's beautiful, actually.
I want to get into also your singing, so the emotions and your voice.
Okay.
How sometimes it can be challenging to bring out these emotions in the song. What's happening with you when you sing?
Well, it depends on the moment and the time of my life, and many factors, and depends also on if I'm just singing because I just want to do it at home or wherever I am, or if I'm singing because I have to, I have a concert or something. No, so I think it's different mechanisms working depending on the situation. But what is for sure is that singing moves your body, because of the, yeah, you need to move, the air is gonna make the vibration in the in your vocal cords, and there is also gonna be a vibration in your, depending on what kind of music you are singing and what kind of resonator you are using. You are gonna move your head, or your nose or the chest. So of course there's gonna be some effect on the physical, on our physical body. This is one. And then that effect on the physical body, of course, is going to have an effect on our emotions and our brain in the end. But also it can have an effect straight away to the brain and the emotions without needing this physical way, you know. So yeah, we were talking the other day about blues and how you can use the singing, especially if there are lyrics associated, not if there are words, and then it has some meaning. And in the case of blues or even flamenco, where there is a big component of complaining about uh, 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 unfair situation, and about poverty and injustice, and uh, of course it can be as a way of expressing those fears and anger or sadness, and it's like you release, you know, release those bad feelings. uh, but also even if you don't use words, it can have that kind of effect I told before, because of the just the pure vibration of the air and the strings and your body. uh, I couldn't say about frequencies, but I'm sure that there is a lot of connection with other practice of meditation that try to find a specific frequency to get to another level, because in the end we are waves, no? So like I'm not I can't really talk about meditation, because for me it's very complicated. I tried many times like to do it, but my brain is always working, and I really wish I could, actually, because I know all those benefits and everything, but I cannot. But I know the theory, you know, like the levels of our frequencies that we can get, and singing. I'm sure actually there are many cultures that they use singing either with mantras or with other words to get this state of trance, and to get into another state of consciousness. So yes, either you use the words or you just use the sounds. I'm sure that singing is a way of moving your energies and your feelings, and of course you are gonna move others' feelings, because if someone is listening to you, and it also make an effect on the rest of your environment. So it's something that we should do actually more often.
So this is a question for both Annie and Angela. Annie, I was thinking about the emotions that you go through when you're painting or drawing, and are there particular emotions that are more difficult to convey? And then I'll ask the same question to Angela.
That's a good question. And I think it's not dissimilar to, as Angela just described, it really depends on where I'm at that moment. Some things may come a lot easier, and some things may not flow as you may want to. So I have been working on something and I had to stop it because it wasn't flowing. And I've just learned, because of getting back into the swing of things, that, you know, leave it and come back to it. Whereas maybe before I would keep pushing at it. So I guess you know when to keep pushing and when to leave it and come back to it. And you're in a different frame, and maybe your energy is flowing in a different way. That's how I see it. I don't think necessarily that the subject matter is difficult. Sometimes it's where I'm at, because it's coming through me. So it really depends on where I am at that time. I hope that answers it, the shape form.
Yeah, and to you, Angela, yes, thank you, Annie. Yeah, I
You're
guess
welcome.
it's now where you are. So, Angela, to you as well, are there some emotions that are more difficult to connect with when you're singing or playing?
Well, I want to come back to what Annie was saying, and I also agree that sometimes when it doesn't flow, better you leave it and you change to another thing, and then you are gonna come back and probably it's gonna change the shape and everything. Even for me, it doesn't. It happens in another aspects, like when I'm now that I'm writing my thesis, and sometimes I get stuck, and then I want to talk about this thing, and but I cannot, and but in the case of music, it happens in a different way for me, because I'm used to I really actually I try to play with all kind of emotions, because I first thing I imagine there is always an audience. No, sometimes there is an audience, sometimes not, because I'm preparing for something, but there's going to be an audience later. And what I usually try, either with the silent films or whatever, is to try to change the atmospheres and the feelings all the time, so that we go through different emotions. So of course, some days I'm more into these kind of emotions because I feel like this, because I woke up like that and whatever. But in general, I try to go through every kind of emotion by acting. It's just pure acting. So it's like, okay, I can't forget about how I feel today, even I really had a bad day. I could do something that sounds really happy, or the opposite, but that's just pure acting. And because I'm used to do that, changing emotion, or at least do like if I'm changing the emotions. Usually my way of working, yeah, I'm talking about myself as as a professional artist, not just like an artist, like if no, it's not like art is my hobby and then I can do whatever I want or whatever I feel in every moment. That would be different. No, so of course, if that day you feel sad, you are gonna play sad things, no. But considering that sometimes I have to do arts as a professional task, so I have to adapt to it, and then you need to act. And okay, you don't feel happy, but you need to look like you look happy because you want to make the audience happy, right? So it's hmm.
It's like,
Angela, you know when, sorry, Ron, you know when you have to act over your own emotion, do you actually end up feeling and that emotion taking over of the underlying, you know, with the emotion you started with?
Of course, yes. Yeah. Sometimes it becomes
Wonderful.
too much, and then it's like, oh no, I should have stopped before. And sometimes, of course, it doesn't work, and then okay, you switch to another thing, and then you realize that, oh, I feel more comfortable now. Yes.
I
So
love it. That's fantastic. I love that. Yeah.
Annie, I was going to ask the same question.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love it.
yeah.
That's synchronicity.
Because in drama, we used to call it act as if. So act as if what you're going through is real. And then from there, it actually starts to come out. And we were talking about it a while ago, Angela, Ali and I, we were talking about something, and then we realized we were both getting invigorated about this kind of topic, what we were doing. We were getting excited by this idea, and we'll go into the flow. And yeah, and it was just a single conversation. And it started, maybe we were tired or whatever, but at the end, it was like, yes, you got these ideas, this is coming out. And it's like just a transmutation of energy going on.
yeah, that's fantastic.
That's a perfect way of putting it, because that is exactly it. Yeah. It transmutes from what it was into something else, and a vibration that's higher, especially if you go into it sad and you're feeling low, as Angela said, oh gosh, you might not be feeling to perform, or you're not feeling it. You have to feel and show that you are on top of the world for that moment when you're doing that performance.
Beautiful way to say it. Yes.
There
No,
are,
actually, it's wonderful that in the end, it's like, okay, you can do whatever you want. No, if even you are not feeling good, but if you act as if you are feeling good, and in the end, you can have this transmutation. What else?
Annie, are we getting onto the subject here of manifesting then?
Yes, and as soon as Angela said it, I just thought, wow, this lady is on it, because that's exactly it. You visualize it, you feel it, you have it, and you manifest it. Totally that.
So doing this acting as if on getting yourself with a certain feeling, emotion, it's more powerful than just even the music. You're affecting the people who you're watching, and even in yourself, and you're creating something in that particular moment. And when it's seen as that way, it's so extraordinarily powerful what you're doing. And I think that when you were speaking a while ago, Annie, about, the manifesting, you're creating it. That is the kind of manifesting. You're creating it in that moment.
You're making it real, because you're making, as you said, as if. So you create it, and therefore it is, because you become it. And if you believe it and others believe it, then it must be.
Yes.
Yes, Angela, it's
Definitely, definitely.
the simplicity in it, but exactly that. They are believing that even if you initially came in, oh my God, I don't want to do this today. But on the outset, they believe, you believe, and, so therefore it is. Yeah, exactly that.
Yes. Yeah, yes.
Andrea, a lot of times I've spoken to a lot of kind of creative people, and it's challenging to look back at their work, whether they've done acting or sing or they filmed it. Have you find that challenging to look back at work you've done in the past?
For me, that's a challenge, even if I look to what I'm doing now, like last 30 minutes. But it has to do with two kind of things, like of different nature. But one of them is the level of self-confidence you have, and the other one is related to what are you doing art for. Is it you are doing it as a hobby, or you are doing it for an audience because there is someone who is gonna come to see you? Who knows, they are gonna even pay to see you. So there is something in between. In my case, when I always like to see my performances after I do, and sometimes it's hard because I don't like what I see. Yeah, for different kind of reasons. Sometimes I don't like how I look like physically, or I don't like what I was playing because my idea was another thing and I was expecting that the sound was in a different way, or because actually that day I didn't play good as I would like. And so yeah, both are these things are actually in my case, they come from to those reasons, which is the lack of self-confidence, either because you feel that you are not there yet, or because you realize that that at that moment I was not at my 100% or something, or yeah, because you are afraid of you cannot fulfill the expectations of an audience. So what is the solution for that? This is my daily question. No, it's like, and because it's not good um, to have that feeling of, wow, I don't like to see what I do. It's like a self-destruction, right? But at the same time, I like to see what I have been doing, even I don't like it, because that's the only way that I can improve things. If there is a real reason, of course, yeah. If I don't like how my body looks, for example, there's nothing to do besides doing exercise to feel healthy, right? But if it's about the skills, then yeah, I think that that's the way how to improve and keep doing things better. And at the end, your self-confidence is gonna become higher. And probably you didn't like what you did last week, but if you analyze and see, okay, why I don't like it is because I'm playing too slow or too fast or too loud, or the chords I chose for that time, they don't work well together, or there is no I don't feel them, there is a flow in the music I'm doing, or the movements I was doing while I was dancing, in case it's not clear and the lines are not. So how to fix that? Okay, try to find different chord progressions, try to find a different kind of sound where this right hand sounds smoother, or fix your posture. So this is my daily battle. No, it's like I see my videos of the last performances and it's like, oh no, and okay, that was not that bad, don't be too hard with yourself. But at the same time, yeah, it's the way I keep improving. And yeah, so if you ask me anytime an advice for those who don't really like to see what, yeah, we need to to know where we are all the time, and also to know what are our expectations. For example, I cannot expect being as the I don't know any world class musician. But okay, once you forget about that and then you know where you are, then try to improve all the time and then make your self-confidence better, so that the next time, at least if you don't really like what you see, but at least you feel it better like the one before, no? And then there is a progress. And and that can make your life meaningful as well if you have always progress and improvement all the time, either in music, in art, in whatever.
So this is for both Annie and Angela. What does it mean we're not there yet? What does that mean? So if I could start with you, Annie.
Oh gosh, I think that is just listening to Angela speak, it's the markers that you place for yourself. It's not necessarily the outside criticism or the markers that come from outside. It's when you have a vision for yourself, it's you're marking on yourself. So just listening to Angela there, her performance may be perfect to her audience, but Angela is her hardest critic, critic, sorry. So I guess even with me, so looking back, you or Angela may not see or something that I could have made better, but I will. But I love, as Angela explained, it's really important to look back at your work because you see where you started, your journey through, and you see your progress. And of course, we're going to see things that we may change, and they're going to be things that, oh God, that may not have been. But, you know, hindsight is a fantastic thing. But the best thing is you can see where you've come from and where you are now, and your progress. And to give yourself, you know, that pat on the back and say, yeah, I did that. I'm here now. Okay, this is great. I think we're always, I think as creative people, people that maybe are driven, you always have a goal. Your goal, even if you get to where you wanted to get to, there's going to be another goal. So you're never, ever, ever going to be without a marker point. You're continually working towards something, I think. I know that works for me, and that gives me that structure, and structure for me is I like that. Even if that's in my day, I like structure, you know, this, you know, the planning of things, then seeing your progression through it, you have a satisfaction, I think, and your movement forward. I feel that from you, Angela, that you are very much like that. Even though your mind is very active, you're very structured. And I think, feel like you can be your harshest critic, because I haven't seen all of your work, but I am pretty sure that you, because you practice, you give such dedication. Just listening to you speak, you're so passionate, you know, you breathe it, you live it, you sleep it, you sing it, you dance it all the time. I would be very surprised if your performances weren't less than 100%.
Thank you. You said something at the beginning about related to what I want to say now is you said about the vision that you have from yourself, and related to the Ran question. And yeah, it's true that sometimes we project to ourselves a vision of what we want to be or what we want to do, but actually it doesn't correspond with the vision that the audience have from you. And so it's like a kind of fiction. We are like creating an unnecessary fiction sometimes, like by being that critique. No, yeah, in my case, yes, I'm totally like, it's like I'm all the time like, this can be, because I like to find the balance between, no, it's not that I like to find the balance. I want to keep improving, and I don't like conformities. Like, I'm afraid if I feel comfortable with what I did, is like, oh, okay, there is nothing else to improve. No, there is something like that in the way I work. But we forget sometimes that that vision that I like that word you used. It's like sometimes it's just a fiction, and it's not even, it's not real for the rest of the world. It's just for you, and then you're trying to be something or someone that doesn't make sense, because the audience is not expecting that you play like Alicia de la Rocha or like Herbie Hancock or like music like Billie Holiday. It's not that. That's not the idea. It's you on the stage, and it's just you creating your own art, and you. So it's a little bit useless sometimes to be that critic.
So this is a question again for Annie and Angela. How do you deal with sometimes real life, well, not real, but life can get in the way of, living, going to the shops, paying the rent, things that happen in our life? How can we still keep that passion and love for what we do and keep going on? Where sometimes we may be tired from going to work, or, things just happen in life. Are there things that you do to keep this passion for what you do, up?
Is that for me or for Angela
I
first?
go with Angela first, and I go to you then, Annie.
Okay. Well, if I could, if I could choose, I would forget about the real life, And you mentioned a few things that I really hate. It's like when is the moment that I have to go to the supermarket to buy food that I need to eat. I wish that we humans just need to eat once a day. Even sometimes I enjoy very much the food, but it's like, why we have to spend like 6 hours every day just shopping, cooking, cleaning, eating? I would prefer to eat once in the morning, a big one, enjoy it, all the flavors and everything, and then forget about the rest. And but yeah, I'm too much. Sometimes I know that it's like so actually the way to keep the I luckily I can have plenty of time for my creation, my creative processes, and my work and everything. So but in some periods where you have actually when I was living in Bali, where everything takes so long to go there, to go back, and then you are so tired of the motorbike, and the only way to keep this spirit and is actually because you have a performance the day after, and then you need to get the strength from everywhere so that you still can practice something, and then you go to your gig tomorrow, and then you can breathe again. So yeah, so what I wonder sometimes is rather how people that they don't do any creative activity during their lives can keep the spirit and the energy. I know that this is kind of how to say, because not everybody has the chance to be able to spend time on arts, okay? But let's just think about people here in Spain. Either they have to go to work, or they don't have any job, but they are at home, and you just don't do anything that feeds your soul and your spirit. Probably if you try to do creative things, even you don't have an instrument, you just sing or you just dance or act, you don't need any material things, or you write, or you just read, no? And from reading also you get more ideas and creation in the end. Probably would there was not gonna be so many mental issues here, no? So yeah, we should actually make it possible, like to have to spend time during the day for some creativity, and in order to get the energy for the rest of the activities that we hate, like going to some places and dealing with this reality, this ugly reality sometimes, with injustice and wars and things.
Annie?
Yeah, you know what, Angela, I love how you put it about going to the supermarket, because that's how it's, you know what? Yeah, I want that experience. I want that chore to be so quick that I could just blink my eyes. And because again, it's the getting there, the, you know, getting in, doing the shopping, getting back, then packing it away, and then the cooking. So I find that my creativity starts at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, especially if I have things to do. And usually that's not the time that I want to start. And then what I try to do is exactly, you know, what Angela said. You have to cook, and then there's, you know, more time. And so I try and do it so that I don't have to cook every day. But again, there's a good hour, or, you know, depending on what you're doing, that is on top of what you're doing. So I agree with Angela. I wish there was a way that, you know, all of these things could just be like this, you know, oh, wow, that's great, that's done. And then we could just start everything when we want to do it and just focus on that. Ideally, I would like to start being creative in the morning, but it never goes that way. Very frequently, that, you know, that doesn't happen. So if it does go that way, then that's fantastic. But usually I find I start later and then work later. And because of certain circumstances that I have in my life at the moment, sometimes it's not even that, you know, it might be an hour. But as I've got older, and especially because of my circumstances, I've started to find more solace in my creativity because of the release and the opportunity it gives me to not be in that specific moment of what is happening within my surroundings, but only be consumed with what I'm creating. And that is, you know, a beautiful thing, because you are no longer attached to the physical. You're more you know, I know you guys will understand that, you know, time has no element there, you know, it doesn't exist, and you're just consumed with that. And that is, you know, an amazing, that even half an hour in that, you know, if we call it half an hour, is better than no time whatsoever. Yeah,
Totally. Yeah. Oh.
Angela, a couple of weeks ago, I was speaking with a young singer, and she said, I love singing. So I'm going to ask you about when you love playing the piano, when you love your singing or you love your dancing, what's going on inside of you?
Wow. Well, for me, inside me, there is a love for sound. This is the first thing. Sound as a vibration, sound as an interaction between different medium, like between air and a string, or a heat and a wood. This kind of interactions that can make some vibration. Probably that's the philosophy behind that. And what I mean is I enjoy producing the chords, like wow, I like how it sounds, right? Or when you say ba, you produce one note and then you feel the sound in your head. For me, this is it's a pleasure, actually. And but behind that, there are also, it's like I love doing these arts, but also because I love people who is around me and people who is gonna watch me, and then I want these people to feel good with the things I'm doing. So it's like I feel this love for my audience, and probably that's why I'm too critical, and I'm trying to always to do something better because I want to please my audience. So somehow there is the love for the art, the art itself, but it's the love for the rest of the people who I'm gonna share my art with. And then in another level is the love for all those cultures where I take these elements from, as you asked at the beginning. It's like, oh, how Balinese music can influence you. So it's like I'm doing something related to Balinese art, and then somehow I'm appreciating and admiring the Balinese or the whoever it is. So this is the way I feel it, more or less.
That sounds like that the separation between things and people falls away. And you describe connectedness between you and your instrument or whatever. And we spoke about meditation. So maybe that's a road to meditation, and that you don't call it meditation, but you feel this kind of, there's a connectedness with all things, and you're performing and you're just in it at that moment. And that sounds like a meditation in itself.
Yeah.
And what happens if we then even let go of the word love? What's beyond that?
What would you say?
I don't know. I mean, could we use this word? But if we even let go of that word, what is happening with ourselves expressing this art, this creativity? What's going on between you and the audience, between you and your instrument?
You mean without love, the word?
Oh yeah, without the word, just the feeling.
I don't know. It's probably it comes from something physical, which is just waves. These waves is what makes us connected between people and between things, but that waves and that vibration is what in the end stimulates our brain and to feel it as love. I'm not sure of that. I don't know how, actually I wanted to, while you were talking about that, how you feel. You do meditation, right? How do you feel that love when you do that, when it's related not only to your own connection with your things, but connected to other people who is meditating beside you or is not either in the room? How do you transpose this feeling to others? Does it make sense? I'm not sure.
Yes. I think in regards to the when you're in the meditation, a lot of things are allowed to just fall away and be as they are. So thoughts may still happen, but you don't judge them good, bad, right or wrong. They are just as they are. It's kind of acceptance of being in the only place there really is, the here and the now.
Okay.
And with that, you don't really have to do anything. It kind of just happens, just this relaxation happens because you're not trying to do or to be anything other than what you are.
Okay.
And I think sometimes this can happen when and sports people call it being in the zone, when you're totally in the moment and you're in it. And I guess it can happen. And I've heard artists say they're creating something and they're just in the zone and they're going. And when they look back, they say, oh, that's what happened. And I hear sometimes musicians say they're playing and they're just in the zone. They're totally with that. And it may not happen for a long time, but those little moments are extraordinary moments when they're allowed to be. And I think that that falling away is the meditation.
Okay.
How do you feel about that, Annie, in regards to your work?
Yeah, totally. That's so true, because I have longer pockets within my creativity. But when I do the meditation, not dissimilar to Angela, depending on where I'm at, my brain is, constantly moving. But when I find I have a pocket of in that moment, when I actually let the thoughts just fall away, and I'm in that moment feeling that is amazing and deep. It doesn't stay for long sometimes, but when it does, when you can really, be in that moment, in that meditation, be aware of that time, it's really transforming. But as Ron said, it's the practice of that. And I guess it's no different to the practice of us being creative, whatever art form you're using. The more that you practice it and you work on it, I guess the longer the pockets will be. And, we're never going to stop the talk speak that's happening in our head, but we can always refocus on the moment, because that is all there is.
Mm-hmm.
Angela?
Well, let me process everything you were saying. Yeah, I'm totally aware now that you were saying about being in the moment, that actually even there is some connection between doing some art as a way of meditation. And that's why actually I was asking you how you connect this interaction with yourself and everything with a possible audience, is because at that moment I was just seeing the difference between music as a meditation and the other ways of meditation. And the only difference at some point is that in music you would have an audience. So that's why actually I was asking you about how you put together your own meditation and your own connection and interaction with the possibility of not an audience but others, And now you said, Annie, I forgot what I was gonna say about being in the moment, to be able to focus on the moment. So I just realized that probably for me, one of the keys to be able to just enjoy in my art, and actually I know it, and it's about practicing meditation as well, because meditation is the way of being just here in this moment, forgetting about your skills or the audience. And I think it's the perfect complement, actually.
I think what's been wonderful about having these two conversations with you, Angela, is your enthusiasm and love of what you do. And I find that these kind of programs, it's infectious.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's infectious. And I speak to Annie, we have regular conversations about inspiring each other. And sometimes I think, because a lot of times people do different things are on their own. It could be valuable if we work together, just to sometimes bring each other up. And it's okay, you'll be okay, it's going to be okay. and what you're doing is keep going, keep doing what you're doing. I think maybe that's something that we can all maybe do a bit more, if possible. Encourage each other and help each other.
Definitely.
Absolutely. I never come off the phone after a conversation with you, Ron. I always feel very lifted and a lot more refocused. And listening to Angela for our first conversation was really enthusiastic. You can feel her energy. It's, really, I love your passion. I love the way that you are 100%, 150%, 200%, Angela. I feel it of everything that you do. Even if you're writing down a word, I feel that, you're giving that 150%. I really, I really feel very inspired after listening to you.
Thank you so much. Actually, you're talking to you and having other points of view. But actually, I don't have too much relationship with painters, for example. So it's also very inspiring to see other perspectives of the act of creating. And for me, every time, like the last time also, is like when I finish these conversations, it's like I still keep thinking about what we were talking about and how to make it even more, make it wider, and how to apply all these kind of things to our daily life and our daily creative activities. And so let's meet again.
Yes. I was just going to say, you kind of went on to like the last question I was going to ask, and I haven't asked this before in the show, is in any show I've done, what have we learned in coming together in this hour? Annie, can I start with you?
Oh my gosh. I think listening to Angela, of course, because I'm not always in conversation with Angela, but I am with you. But just listening to Angela, I want to put even more time and effort into what I do. I absolutely love, and I really enjoyed hearing that, it's not just me that feels some of these things, that, there are other people in the creative fields that are feeling and thinking the same things. So yeah, I come away feeling very inspired. I come away with another way of looking at things, which is always really good. And I'm always learning, because everybody that comes on is coming from such varied backgrounds, and you never come away from not, you learn something. There's always something, and it's always really thought-provoking, and makes you just relook at yourself always in a good way, to encourage your own growth and your own movement forward. So these have been really inspirational talks that we've been having. Everybody that's been on has been inspirational.
Angela?
Well, I think there, besides some specific input you guys put on my brain during this hour, but I don't think that it's really important for the rest of the world. But there is something really, really important of this thing that you are doing actually now with us, but other days you do with someone else, which is the act of sharing about this kind of things. I just said that probably it's not useful to share what your input make in my brain, but actually it is. And because I'm not used to share about my creativity with people. It's like I just show the product at the end, and at the same time I don't ask others what is your process like in between. So it's very, very inspiring for me to know about your own processes of creating, but also it's very inspiring to know that this conversation can be good to others, for make them inspire, and to make more creativity possible. And yeah, so sharing, I'm a person who always, since I'm a kid, I'm used to be alone all the time. It's like because of this, because I need my time for my creation, and because I really enjoy it. So, but sometimes it's too much, and it would be, I'm sure it would be more I would be more productive, and I would enjoy more, because also the things that happen when I talk to you guys at the end, it's like I'm so happy. It's like, wow. And that this is life. Actually, we are living in this world together, even just through a screen, in this moment. But so I see the potential of sharing about everything, but especially if it's sharing about creativity and arts, and it's fantastic. So congratulations for these things that you are doing, guys, because it's something really necessary and good for everyone.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Angela, and a pleasure, Annie. Thank you, both of you. We've got into some real interesting questions that maybe sometimes we don't even think about. And that's been wonderful. And I think, as for me, as regards to what have I learned, it's just that there's always things that you can learn from people in anything you say. And you have a metaphor that I'm going to use when I do my next teaching role tomorrow, is when you talked about the scale of keys. In the Western way, it may be one way, but if we go to another country, it could be completely different. And that means not to get fixed too much on particular ways and ideas and forms. They're useful, but don't be too fixed, because there are other ways of seeing things. So I'm going to use that in a metaphor in maybe one of the meditations or classes that I have coming up. So thank you for that.
Fantastic. My pleasure.
Well, this has been a Ran Usha's show number 17, Conversation on Art with Angela and Annie. Thank you very much, and goodbye.